The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network. Any questions or concerns about what is said should be directed to the show host, whose information will be provided upon request.
Good evening. Yes, we are just a little bit late, but here we are. Welcome to Just Enough. I'm your host, Rick Davis, and we are your place for help, hope, and healing. Today we have a really great show, really excited about our guest. Today's show is Mr. Right and Mrs. Wrong, or Mrs. Right and Mr. Wrong. We have an extremely qualified marriage therapist with us today. That's Clifton Brantley, and we will be bringing him in shortly. I want to, have a few announcements as usual. First of all, thank you all for continuing to tune in. Be sure to hit the like button, the share button. Like I say before, all the time, tell your pastor, the deacons, the elders, the ushers, the choir members, the trustees, the saints, the ain'ts, the wannabes, even the not too sures. Tell everybody, hit the like, the share button, hit the love button. Make sure that people are in on this, because this is information that you do not want to miss today, especially today. I wanted to talk briefly about a ministry that has started, and it's called Iron Sharpens Iron. They meet every Monday at 6 o'clock. And you can, the dial-up information is on the flyer. Be sure to call in. It's every Monday at 6. If you're talking about having a high time in God's name, then you definitely don't want to miss Iron Sharpens Iron. They have a guest preacher that comes on there every week, and this is run by my good friend, Minister Michael Moore. This is the ministry that God envisioned him with, and that he has jumped out and taken the leap of faith and is doing some great things. So we want to make sure that you all pull that information off of there. Make sure that you call in and be blessed, because this is definitely something you want to be a part of. I think Mike wouldn't mind me saying on April 5th, yours truly will be the guest preacher. So tune in. Make sure you call in. Please do all you can to support this ministry. He's winning souls for Christ. Believe me, I'm a witness to that. Now that I want to just say hey to a few people. Park Road Community Church, my friends at the Maryland Council on Problem Gambling, Restoration Outreach Community Center. And I also want to say to you all, I hope that you all are still praying about or making decisions on whether or not you want to get the vaccine. If you do want to get the vaccine, that's great. If you don't, please, that's cool. But don't do anything to discourage someone else who may be in a very different situation. We all want to get back to some form of normalcy, but the old normal isn't going to be the same old normal. We have a new normal. So we have to be vigilant and be discerning about what it is that we want to do. All right. Now that we got all the niceties out the way, let's get to the good stuff. All right. I want to bring in our guest, Mr. Clifton Brantley. Clifton is a licensed marriage therapist all the way from the great state of Texas. I don't like the Cowboys. Let's be clear about that, Clifton. He has a passion for couples. He has 5 grown children and 2 grandchildren. And he's also an author. A book, he has a couple of books. I Wish I Had Known, Building a Rock Solid Marriage, and his second book is already in the works. See, when I grow up, I want to be just like Clifton. His second book is entitled Preparing for the Worst. Now, that's a book we all might want to buy. What you need to know before you say I do. Now, without further ado, I want to say hello and everybody give a just enough welcome to Mr. Clifton Brantley. Clifton, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on.
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to this time that we're about to spend together.
Oh, yeah. This is, I got your information from a friend, somebody who I trust deeply, because I said to her, I want to have somebody that I know has the highest level of integrity and is dedicated to the field of marriage therapy and, marriage counseling. And she said, oh, I got you. And then I had the opportunity to sneak on Clubhouse and heard you drop a few diamonds on some folks. So I said, hey, we got to get this brother in here to help our people, because one of the things that we've been dealing with, especially since the pandemic hit, is I heard last week that divorce rates are at an all-time high. I guess people are figuring out, the one that they with isn't necessarily the one that they want to be with. So we're going to so let's talk a little bit about that. When we talk about the pandemic and marriages and having to be closed in, how much has your client base increased since the pandemic?
Well, actually, my client base, I don't think it increased because of the pandemic.
Okay.
I stayed pretty busy, and so it did stay, pretty normal. I expected it to go down, but it didn't. Except for the normal, like in the summer, it always goes down. So It did drop a little bit in the summer. But yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot more busy than it was, and it wasn't. However, the clients that were coming, they were coming because the pandemic is revealing things that they didn't know they had to deal with. So I have seen that, an increase of that.
Wow. So what made you decide on marriage counseling as a specialty?
That's a good question. So there's this song lyric back in the day by this guy named Bubba Sparks, and he started off his song. He said, "I didn't choose to rhyme, rhyming chose me." So he's the track running like a nosebleed. And I tell people, I actually did not choose therapy, so to speak. It kind of chose me. I was at a place in my life where I was looking for. I went to a funeral, and I started to wonder, what are people going to say about me when I'm gone? And whose life will I have impacted other than my children?
Wow.
Put me on this quest to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And the short story is, I believe the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, this is the direction I want you to go. And when I got in it, it felt like where I was supposed to be. And so I did that. And that was later on in life, because I didn't get into this until I went to undergrad at 31, graduate school, I forgot how old I was. So when I graduated with my master's, I was 40.
Okay.
So it took me a while to hear God's voice clearly.
I know how that goes. Now, okay, are you currently married?
I am married. I am married to probably one of the most beautiful women on the planet. I don't know how God blessed me with her, but I am married. We've been together for 3 years now.
Okay.
It's so amazing how well we connect. I teach what I teach, and I preach what I preach. But then when it happens to you and you live it, it's like, wow, okay,
whoa,
it's real. So yeah, my wife is amazing.
Okay, so now let's move into some of the meat of this. How does somebody stay happily married? Because we hear, we hear all the happily ever afters, and I's married now at the ceremony and all that good stuff. That's the high point. But
Right.
how does somebody actually stay happily married?
Well, so the short answer is be happy and then stay married. That's the simple and short answer. But the reason I say it that way is because of this. Happiness is not really a marriage phenomenon. That's an individual phenomenon. When people say happy, how do you stay happily married? You yourself have to be happy, and you bring that to the marriage, and so that you can have happiness in your marriage. But if you get married for the purpose of looking for happiness, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because marriage is not the place you come to for happiness. Now, I'll answer what I know you're really asking. How do we do this and be good at it and be happy? You got to work at it. I tell people all the time, great marriages don't just happen. You have to work at it. And you have to get out of your head the Hollywood mentality of, we love each other, it's just going to work. Not true. Right? It's going to be ups and downs, and people say, well, I love them, but I'm not in love with them. They don't realize how healthy that is, because healthy marriages, you're going to fall in and out of love. Why? Because that's just the emotional feeling. Love's not a feeling. Love is a commitment. So because you don't feel the butterflies and excitement all the time, doesn't mean that the love has died. But Hollywood has tricked us into thinking we're supposed to have that all the time, 24/7, and that's just unrealistic. My relationship with God is like that. Like, I don't like God sometimes, right? And I know He don't like me sometimes. He likes me, but I'm just making a point that it ain't always going to be a bed of roses.
You said something real heavy. You said something real heavy. Love isn't a feeling; it's a commitment. Now, can you expound on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So we talk about the giver of love. When you're talking about giving love, so when we say "I love you," just the dynamics of that sentence, "I love you," it's supposed to mean I'm committing to give you my best, and I'm committing to partner with you to help your life be great. But when we say it, what we really mean is, I love the way you make me feel, which is why then when things start to go sideways, we feel like, well, I don't love you anymore. And I'm saying, I don't love the way you're making me feel. So, but love can't be a feeling, because if love was a feeling, like right now, I can't command the listeners, okay, everybody on here listening now, be happy. Okay? And now be sad. It won't work that way. And so if it was an emotion, He wouldn't be able to say, love one another, love your enemy, and pray for those who hurt you. Like there is a feeling or emotional piece to it, but that's for the receiver, right? The only way that you know you've been loved is by how you feel, right? Love, when love is sent, you can feel it, but for the giver, you loving someone is not based on how you feel. Like, you don't love your children that way. You wake up on Saturday mornings to fix them cereal at 5 o'clock because you love them, not because you feel like it.
Woo.
Right? And if you live your life based on how you feel, you are going to crash and burn. You're going to crash and burn. And so, yeah, love is a commitment, and it is a choice based on, like, I'm committed. Right? And you can't get to agape in your feelings, because sometimes I don't feel like getting up in the morning singing clients, but I get up and do it. Why? Because I'm committed to it. Love and commitment, they're married. They go together.
Wow. Thanks you all for tuning in. We are with Clifton Brantley, all the way from the great state of Texas, and he is dropping dimes already. Everybody always, you hear people all the time, and they don't make that connection. Love is an action word. And we don't always get that. We look for the feeling associated with, with receiving love. So Okay, here we go. So, why do you believe, or in your experience, why do you believe marriages are dying after 20 years, 25 years?
Um, I excuse me. I think that it's been that way. I think that we just it's more prevalent because we know about it now.
Mm.
But or let me put it this way: what's happening is people are divorcing from dead marriages after 20 years, where before they would stay in the dead marriage until they die. And so now, because divorce seems to be more acceptable, when the kids leave, then they cut it off.
Mm.
Because they never really built an us. They never really built a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they're empty nesters, they realize, hey, I don't know you, and I don't really like you. Or you've known you haven't liked each other for a long time, but you're just holding on so the kids can graduate or whatever. And I think that's the primary reason why people are, after 20 years, divorcing, because I get people who come in my office, married 20, 25 years, and we start talking. Doesn't take long to realize they have no idea how to do marriage.
Wow.
And you've been doing it for 20 years. Because marriage is not one of those things that you can get in and then stumble your way to greatness.
Mm.
You got to be focused, going in a certain direction, and we don't teach folks how to do marriage. So, and then, we live in a culture of, me, selfish, I don't like this, it don't feel good to me, so I'm jumping, I'm quitting, I'm jumping bail. That's that whole commitment thing. They're not committed to commitment. Everyone, what can you do for me? What am I getting out of this? I hate when people say that, because you are going to harm yourself thinking what's in it for me.
Mm. Wow. Whoa. Man, you on a roll. I really appreciate the conversation and your candor. This is exactly what we need to hear, because what I'm seeing is that we've moved to a place of instant gratification. If we don't get it right now, then something's wrong. I want what I want yesterday, and that's not how, this thing works, especially listening to your responses. This is about, the commitment piece means that I'm in it. I'm actually in it. I'm going to work at it. And we don't have a lot of that now, especially with our millennials, because everything is predicated on me. I know my millennials gonna get mad, but so what? Now let me ask you this: what are some key qualities to look for before accepting a proposal?
Oh, that's a good question. Key qualities to look for. So here's the thing. There was a time, so when I was single, years ago, we have these lists. People come up with lists. And I realized having a list, it's okay, but it's not going to do you a whole lot of good if you go strictly by the list. Like, think about this. If I put 10 things on my list that I wanted to make, or 20 or 30 or whatever, I'm going to go with 10. 10 things I want in my mix. And then the rule is, if you get 8 of them, then you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say I meet someone, and they're actually all 10.
Woo.
Like, man, okay, I need to marry this person. Here's the problem. We are not intelligent enough beings to come up with an exhaustive list of qualities. Because in my list of 10, I'm going to tell you what's not going to be on there. Someone who molests children. That ain't going to be on my list, but I don't want that.
Right.
Right? Someone who, and it's a whole lot of things. So you get the 10 that you say you wanted, but you don't see the 100 of other things that's in there. So let's let the list be say the first area. But after that, you gotta inspect fruit. That's the bottom line. You gotta know how this person deals with their relationship in other areas of their life before you say, hey, I want to everything that comes out of you comes out of your heart. For example, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, and I hope I can mention this, but the young man that's in the news now, Derek Jackson, with all things that he has going on, he said some good things, and you think, oh, wow, he's living a certain way, and he's saying all these truths. That's not the measuring stick. That's not necessarily what's in his heart. You can't tell. When someone is speaking good, you actually don't know if that's coming from their heart or not. Because the heart can only be tested when there's pressure. So when you're looking for someone to marry, what comes out of their heart when life happens? There's a time when I thought I was, I'm Mr. Christian, I trust God and I got faith and, and I'm leaning on the everlasting arms, right? And then here comes a storm and I'm sitting in the corner wondering if God even exists.
Woo!
So what I thought I had, life showed me, hey, that wasn't in your heart. That was in your mouth and your head. It wasn't in your heart. So when you're choosing a mate, they can say, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. Yeah. But how are you going to love me when I get on your last nerve? Right? What's your forgiveness look like? How do you treat the people in your life? Because we all have them. How do you treat the people in your life that you don't like, family members that you don't get along with, but how do you treat them, though? Right? You need to see that, and that's what you judge the fruit by. But you don't get married, or you don't sign up to get married without inspecting fruit. And let me just say this, since I'm on it, because a lot of women come in my office, and they'll say, when we first met, he was going to church, or, he was leading Bible study, or when he met me, he started going to church. But then when I said, but what fruit did you see? They say, well, he was in church all the time. I said, that's not fruit. Satan goes to church. So you can't choose a person based on them teaching in church or going to church. Here's what fruit is. Fruit is, I should say are, because it's plural. Fruits are relational things only. The only way you examine fruit is by relationship. What relationships look like. It's not about what you do, what you say. It's about how you treat people. The whole Bible is about how you accept God, love Him, Him love you, and then you treating others. That's the fruit that you need to expect. How do they live their life? It's good. If they have good credit, bad credit, I'm with all of that. But bad character is going to outweigh good credit. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are examining the person and how they interact with other human beings on the planet.
Wow. Now, I want you to know I'm getting ready to throw my list away. I'm throwing my list away. But this is, thank you for setting the record straight. I really appreciate this. Because, you can tell what kind of fruit somebody is when, almost like you said, when life squeezes them, are they a lemon or a lime? Because when life squeezes them, does something sour come out of their mouth? And I don't think that we've been misled a whole lot about the whole marriage concept, which leads me to this question: Do we still really want to be married, or are we in love with the ceremony?
If I had to guess, I'd say the latter. I definitely say we're folk want to be married, but it's for it's either for what I'm going to get out of this, or just to say, I can't tell you how many people come in my office and say they got married because it was the next thing on the list, and I'm like, wait, so you committed your whole life because it was next? Don't do that. I tell people, if I could do like a worldwide broadcast to everybody that's single, we probably can bring the divorce rate down, because hopefully I would discourage so many people from getting married. So this is what I say. Marriage, when you sign up to marry, you're signing up to say, you're committing to be a giver, not a receiver. See, when you get married, giving is your obligation. Receiving is your benefit. But receiving is not your business. That's their business. Your business is giving. So when you say I do, you're committing to give no matter what you get. And if more people knew that, fewer people would be running to it for answers. Like, anybody really signing up to give? Like, I don't know if I want to give my all, and I don't know what I'm going to get back. Or I'm committing to give my all when you turn out to be trifling. Yeah, that's why you got to be a good examiner. And you're still not, we're not God, so they're not going to be perfect, and you're not going to you're not going to get everything. So no, I don't want that, so I'm not choosing that person. You're not going to be able to do that on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to walk by faith, but ultimately, you can't. You simply can't. You can't say, I want to get married, but I don't want all the drama, because drama comes. So when we say, I tell people all the time, and they come in my office and they're fighting, and I say, let me ask y'all something. When y'all got married, y'all get married by a preacher? They say, yeah. I said, oh no. So y'all, I hope you didn't say this. Please tell me you didn't. And they say, yeah. I said, oh no. I don't know. You shouldn't have did that, because worse has shown up, and you said when worse show up, you were still gonna stay married.
Woo.
Now why y'all trying to get a divorce? You said when worse show up, I was gonna stay. Well, here's worse. I tell people all the time before they get married, the reason that's in there is because worse is coming. I promise you, every marriage is gonna experience worse. It's coming. That's why the second book is called Preparing for Worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming, right? So, if we tell more people that, I think the divorce rate will go down. But yeah, I think most people are getting married. A good number of people are getting married, not understanding really what marriage is and what it represents.
Wow.
Because if we were going to go strictly theological, marriage ain't even what we think when we read the Bible. The marriage really represents the Trinity.
Yes.
Right? But we're not going to get into preaching, but your marriage is supposed to represent God's image on the earth. And so the reason the church is so weak is because we don't honor marriage like we supposed to. Other countries look at our marriages and they make determinations about our God.
Woo!
Yeah.
Man, we are here with Clifton Brantley, who is setting this thing on fire. I want to take a minute. I'm ready to take off my bow tie for a minute, because you got me. I gotta take the bow tie loose, man. You doing some stuff. I want to shout out all of our folks that are watching. Dee Dee, Aquetta, hey, Patrick Stevens has a question. He has a question.
Okay.
He says, "Is there a thing that opposites attract? Is that really a thing?"
Say that again. I didn't hear you breaking up. Say it one more time.
Okay. Is there really such a thing as opposites attract?
Opposites attract.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really a thing. It's scientific. However, you can't be too opposite. As a matter of fact, opposites attracting don't mean they should be together.
Whoa.
Because we're wise enough, and I say we because you and I, of age, and young people that hopefully this will help you. Just because you're attracted to someone, don't mean they need to be in your life. You need to be tied to them romantically. But back to the question, yes, opposites do attract, but you got to be wise enough to know, like, I don't want that opposite. So we'll take a concept and we'll apply it with a broad brush across everything. Yeah. So opposites attract, but I don't want someone who worships Satan. I worship God, and I know I'm being extreme on purpose. But not all opposites, even if they attract, are they good? It don't take much. It doesn't take much to have chemistry. That's why you can't make your decision based on chemistry. I'm not saying chemistry is not important. That can't be the sole reason you make the decision. Oh man, I just can't get them out my system. I can't get them off my mind. Well, the reason you can't get them off your mind may be more about you than them. And not have anything to do with them. Maybe you and your child is why you can't get them off your mind. But then you marry them and realize they can't meet the need that you thought they'd be able to meet. Now you think God tricked you. You just listen to him.
Man, I am so loving this. My wife, I tell people my wife taught me how to be a husband. My wife passed away in 2011, and getting back into the what they call the dating scene, man, I feel like a fish out of water. Things are so different. You know, dating means one thing, going out means another. You know, I was just like, you know what? Let me just stay in my corner for a minute until I figure this whole thing out. But let's move on, because I got a few more questions for you, and I thank God for you, Clifton, man, because you are really making things clearer, and it's not like you tap dancing. I love it when folk get right in there and speak truth to power. Bless you, man. So, with that being said, is it really better to marry than burn, as it says in 1 Corinthians, what's that, 7:9? Well, Paul?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I actually I got notes on that one.
Okay.
Find it real quick because I wanted to make sure if this question came up, I wanted to make sure I addressed it. So here's the thing about that. First of all, it's dangerous to take and try to build a doctrine or a belief on it, right? Taking it out of context.
Right.
So Paul in Corinthians is talking about marriage and singleness, right? And remember, he's talking to the Corinthians,
right,
they were sexually perverse,
right?
And so what he's telling them is, this is how you do marriage. Because if you read the context, this is how you do marriage, and he's talking about sexual things, and then he says, I wish y'all would be like me and stay single. He talks to Jesus before he died. And so he's like, y'all, stay single so that you can be committed to God as opposed to committed to a spouse. But if you're lusting, because they were perverse, if you're lusting, it'd be better for you to get married, find your husband or wife and get married, than to burn with lust. What he's not saying is, if you're lusting, then just get married. Go find someone somewhere and just, hey, let's just get married. No. He's still saying, hey, if you're too hot and you can't stay single, okay, get on eHarmony or go on dates. Find someone. But the process of finding a mate as opposed to living in sin. So, yeah, it's true, but it doesn't mean better to marry than to burn. Like, I don't know nothing about God. I don't know nothing about marriage, nothing, but I just want to have sex, so let me get married. That's what he's not saying. Yeah, that's not it.
Woo! I hope y'all are enjoying this conversation, because I sure am. This is Clifton, man. Thank God for you. Okay, here we go. Is it healthy for married people to have a work wife or work husband? Couldn't that cause
absolutely not. That's as a matter of fact, that's dangerous. So the thing about we got to be careful with the terms that we use. Calling someone else other than your spouse, your husband, or your wife is a doorway for the enemy. You got to realize, regardless of what you believe, there is an enemy of marriage, and you don't want to be calling someone else your spouse when they're not your spouse. Because, first of all, where's the textbook on the parameters of what that's supposed to be? There is none, so you're going to make it up. But the Bible says that the heart is wicked above all things. So what you're going to come up with are boundaries and, that fit you. It's a slippery slope. I wouldn't do that. I think that's unhealthy. And my wife ain't going for that. No. Nobody can have that title but her.
Oh, man. I had that conversation with a friend of mine, and I told her, I said, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I said, for married people, that's not cool. You can't be walking around calling somebody at work your husband. My work husband. No, that's start some stuff. And you just confirmed. I want you to know, bless your heart again. You confirmed all that I was saying to this individual. This is again, you all. We are talking with Clifton Brantley, who is the marriage. This is the guy. Okay, this is the guy. You want to know who this guy is. Now, with so many people marrying for status, money, and sex, how would you advise the person seeking true love to kind of weed out the contenders from the pretenders?
You go back to that fruit thing, right?
Okay.
Examining fruit. And then I would add to that, take your time, right? They're the one for you. They'll be the one for you tomorrow. So take your time. Don't rush into, something too serious. But, examining fruit. And the reason why I take time is because anyone can act. So, like, when we talk about the fruit of the Spirit, so to speak, you can pretend with those for a while, but you're not going to be able to do that long term. So you give people enough time to see their fruit in different settings and situations, and you weed out the people who don't. You got to, and so I need to say this: you got to know yourself too, because trying to choose someone, but you're not completely whole, you'll be choosing someone based on your pain instead of your purpose, and you don't want to do that. You choose someone based on your pain, what's missing in their life. You're trying to get them to feel it. What you're doing, you don't know it, but you're trying to replace God with them. And when you put them in that spot, you are going to harm yourself and them, because they cannot fill those shoes. So you want to make sure that you know who you are, what you want, and at least, and when I say know who you are, I think all of us feel short to marriage. We're going to have issues, right? But as much work as possible you do on you, so that when you choose a mate, you're choosing from a good place. And I need to add this: you're not making the choice by yourself. That was a mistake I made, because there may be people on here who know me. I'm not ashamed to say it anymore. There was a time when the enemy had me trapped in guilt. I'm a divorce. And when I got married, when I previously got married, I knew God wasn't in it. I know I didn't consult God, and I did that on my own. I made that choice out of my pain, so I could speak to that. Now, I'm not saying, I want to make sure I'm clear, I'm not saying that God is for divorce, and so when I divorced, he was happy with that. I'm not saying that at all. That is not what I'm saying. But I am saying I made the choice, not God. And so this time, I allowed, I believe, God to lead me. And the thing is, this is good. I think this makes the point of a couple of questions that you had. I didn't even think about this. So when I made the choice, it looked good on the outside. Now I'm about to preach. It looked good on the outside. And it looked good on the outside. But there was no connection. There was no chemistry. It just wasn't there. When God made the decision, still beautiful on the outside, but all of the bells and whistles, I couldn't see that. And it wasn't until after I got in the blessing that I saw the bells and whistles and how tailor-made God blessed me. And so that's why when I think about it, because had I been choosing the way I normally choose, I wouldn't have made this choice, but this was the choice for me. I hope I answered the question. Sometimes I can veer off.
Man, did you answer the question? I'm getting ready to collect the offering and do the benediction. Oh my goodness. Man. Wow. That's saying some stuff. And you getting a whole lot of good feedback on Facebook. Folk telling you tell the truth. Thank you, sir. Oh man. Somebody said, "Oh my." You're getting quite a few amens, preacher. So you keep doing what you're doing. Now, here's the big question, because we get into these, and I don't know where they come from, but we get into these rules, of how long should someone date somebody before, if he ain't asked me to marry him in 2 years, I'm out. What's the balance there? Because I know me personally now, I'm a slow walk. Because I want to see all I need to see, because I know when I initially meet somebody, I'm meeting the representative. People can comply for a certain amount of time, but see, surrender takes a lot. See, because you're going to surrender to who you really are, because you can't keep. Okay, let me stop being nice. You can't keep faking and thinking you're gonna make it.
Right.
So how long, in your experience, how long should it take, or is there any real groundwork for that?
So I don't think there's a hard number. 3 months, a year, 2 years. What I'll say is, as long as you need, and however long it takes you to gather the information that you need. Now, you said based on my experience, I don't think, this is my opinion, it's gospel according to Clifton, I don't think in 6 months it is wise to move into marriage. And the problem is, I think sometimes, so you'll have people who do that, and then, like some folks who's married 20 years and they have a great marriage, they say, yeah, we got married within 3 months. You are the exception, but people look at that and say, oh, that's how you do it. It's not, right? And so, but that's not to say that it can't be 6 months. I'm saying it needs to be enough time to where you spend enough time together. And when I say together, I mean together, not on the phone.
Right.
So I don't really believe in long-distance relationships anymore, because I've done enough of them too. And my conclusion is they don't work. You can date someone for years long distance, and when y'all get together, that thing falls apart because it's just different. So however much time you need to get to know that person, if I had to give a number, I would say a minimum of a year. But in that year, you need to spend a lot of time together, because it's a year and you spend a lot of time versus 3 years where you haven't spent a lot of time. 3 years is not going to trump 1 year. So it's really about how well you know someone. Not how good you feel. I really want to drive that home. I've had people come in my office and they've never had a fight before they got married. That's dangerous.
Wow.
You got to know how this person reacts and responds to pressure more than once. You got to know if they can forgive. You got to know how they handle difficulty. That's the thing that measures how strong your relationship is. Not how many laughs y'all can have, but how you come through difficulty, how you handle conflict. That's what you want to measure a relationship by.
Wow. Mr. Clifton Brantley, you are on it, sir. Okay, I got a question from our viewers. Marquita Wise says, most people bring God in after they are married. Why do you think that is?
Because it's starting to fall apart. And they want God to save them. That's a question. I think that would, but I think I was laughing, but I think that would be it. Up front, even a lot of Christians don't consider God the way they think they do, and then they choose someone, and because it feels good, they say, oh, this must be God, because it's never felt this way. Well, it's just a normal feeling because you've been treated so bad. You think that it's normal, it's extraordinary, and it's not. So you get married, and then you want to bring God in. But I think that's the reason, because people don't realize a lot of times that choosing a partner is a spiritual decision, because nothing affects your life like the person you choose to spend your life with. And so surely God is going to be interested in who you choose. I don't believe there's just one person on the planet for you. People talk about soulmates. God has already pre-chosen someone for you. I don't believe in that. But you do have to make sure that you choose wisely. He's given you the ability to choose, but you got to choose wisely. And so, but why people add God in later, usually because it's in trouble, or if one of them is more for God than the other, they don't want to run the other person off because I want them to be into me before I introduce them. That should be a sign to you that might not be what God has for you. Because if it was what God had for you, you wouldn't have to do it that way.
Wow.
That's my best answer for why people would do that.
Wow. Okay, I missed a question. I had to run back and get it. Aquetta Smith says, What about when a person has lost a spouse? You've been a friend to them and it turns into a relationship. Is it appropriate to ask them if they are really ready for a relationship and they get offended that you ask them, but then they say they are sure? However, they have children that aren't ready. Should the person...
What that already?
Huh?
What's the last one they have? What that already?
Children.
Children?
Yeah.
Oh, that aren't ready for them to move forward?
Right.
Oh, man. That's oppressive. That's a really... Okay. So, right, don't put the decision for your life in someone else's hands. Like, do you want to be with me or not? Choose. Don't let them choose. Okay, that's the first thing. But it is a tough one because you gotta realize that so I'm assuming that the children are young. Because if they're old, I mean, it's kind of, they need to, I'm not trying to be insensitive because I know they lost their mom, so I don't know the time frame. But ultimately, they gotta do their life, and their dad or mom, whoever, gotta do theirs. Like, I'm not raising children anymore, so your opinion about who I date is not really important. But let's say they're young children. You gotta know whether or not you're ready for that kind of, I don't want to use the word drama because it's not necessarily negative, but that kind of weight. Because they had a mom or a dad that it looks like you're replacing. So it's highly possible they won't like you. You got to decide if that's something you want to deal with for this person, right? If God did not speak to you specifically, hey, he or she is the one, then you might want to weigh whether or not that's something you want to take on. Now, them being offended by you asking the question, that has nothing to do. You can't take responsibility for other people's emotions. That's on them, right? So that's no bearing on anything. But I definitely would say be careful because blended families are difficult already. This kind of blended family, these children are still grieving their parents, and here you come to replace them. Even if they like you, I don't like you enough. So so here's where you have to use God's wisdom, honestly. You got to be wise. You cannot just walk into that because you and this person click well and y'all would be great together. Because I promise you there's somebody else on the planet that you'd be great with also. We just don't think so. I've never found anything like this, and this is the last unicorn. It's not. Because if that's true, then God can't be God. So be careful.
Wow. Mr. Brantley, I'm going to say this now in front of everybody. Sir, you are the man. And secondly, you have to come back because we got a whole, so many things just got jarred loose and we going to work that out. But I want you to tell us, how can somebody get in touch with you? How could somebody, if they want to do counseling, or if they want to do, now let me ask you this real quick. If someone is looking to be married, but they need to be in therapy, would you be able to work with a person like that?
You say they want to be married, but they need what?
They need to be in therapy before they actually say I do. I'm talking about an individual.
Yeah. You want it? Yeah, absolutely. I can work with you, but yeah, you definitely want to be in therapy before you get married. You don't want to put as less of a burden on your partner as possible. Again, you're not going to get rid of everything because there's only so much growing on. God designed us that relationship. So we do most of our growing in relationship. But you do want to work on yourself before you get into therapy. And so, yeah, I do that. And I primarily do therapy with individuals. Every now and then, I really don't do therapy with couples.
Okay.
And I could explain that if you need me to.
Please.
The difference between. Okay. So when the pandemic hit, I had to go online. I started doing my YouTube. I did this video called, coaching versus therapy. And me personally, I'm a licensed therapist, but I really prefer coaching. Here's the difference. Therapy is really for the individual. So therapy is for the purpose perform, most of them was to restore normalcy, right? Like the man with the withered arm.
Uh-huh.
Right? When Jesus said, stretch out your arm, he had a regular arm. He didn't give him a superhuman arm. When he healed the blinded eyes, they had regular sight. They didn't have super sight. He's just restoring how it's supposed to be. So that's what therapy does. Therapy restores you back to a whole person where you're supposed to be. Coaching, on the other hand, helps you know how to thrive. Right? So in coaching, I can tell you, do this, do that, right, for example. But if you need therapy, you may not be able to do this and that because there's a block. So you get your individual therapy so you can be whole, and then the coaching piece is how you thrive in your relationship.
Okay, Clifton, you got to tell people, because I got people asking what kind of insurance you take. How can they get in touch with you? So please, tell us how we can get in touch with you, man.
Okay, so first of all, I'm in the state of Texas. I'm licensed in Texas. So if we're doing therapy, I can only do therapy in Texas. And now, you can be in any city in Texas, so we can do virtually. I'm in Houston, Pearland specifically. So if you want to see me face-to-face, you'd have to come to Pearland. But in Texas, we can do virtually. Now, outside of that, I can't do therapy outside of Texas, but I can coach anywhere. So coaching, we can do that virtually. Well, no matter where you are in the country, we can do coaching. As far as insurance, I don't accept insurance because it's just a lot of red tape. It's too much for me. I do accept like the HSA card, like the debit card, health savings plan. I do accept that, but not actual insurance. What my insurance clients usually do is submit their receipt to the insurance company for reimbursement, and then they get reimbursed that way. And then as far as getting in contact with me, you go to my website, abetterfamilynow.com, and fill out the contact form, or you can go to CliftonBrantley.com. That's my new website. It's not as developed as my Better Family Now, but you still get in contact with me there. And then on Instagram, I forgot my Instagram handle, honestly. I think it's Cliff Brantley, LMFT. I should know that. I did. But I can't remember. When you saw the blue striped shirt, same on my YouTube. I have on the same shirt on YouTube and on Instagram. Then on Facebook, it's just Clifton Brantley. You can follow me. I have a business page under my name, Clifton Brantley, where I'm going live. I'm actually live on there now while I'm doing this. And that's how you can get in touch with me. If you want to call, I give you my direct number. Well, my work number is 832-562-0482. 832-562-0482. I work with individuals. My specialty is couples, but I do work with individuals. I have, I probably have, now I have half and half right now. I probably have 75-25 couples and individuals, but I do see individuals. But couples is where I do most of my work.
Wow. I got to read this last comment to you. And again, thank you. Michael Moore says, my lesson from my first marriage is that I needed to develop a relationship with God first, self, and then I felt secure in a relationship and marriage with someone else. This has been a wonderful teaching, and God has really used you. He said, now I'll go with my wife even more. Thanks a lot. That's Michael Moore, Minister Mike Moore, who on Monday nights, we talked about it earlier, does Iron Sharpens Iron. You can see his flyer on the Just Enough page. I'm also going to put it out on my personal page so you all can see it and connect with us on Monday evenings at 6 o'clock. You have a great time. But Clifton Brantley, man, bless your heart. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I'm going to reach out to you because I need to get both of those books. And I want to make sure that I have the information so that I can put it out there on how people can actually get your books as well, because that's information that we need. You have truly been a blessing to us all, man, and thank you. Thank you so much. You have any closing remarks before we get out of here?
Yes. So let me first say, thank you very much for even having me, for inviting me. I appreciate it. I love the privilege. I love talking about these kind of things. But dude, let me clarify, neither one of the books are out yet.
Okay.
The way my discipline is set up is my manuscript for the first book is probably 90% done.
Okay.
I'm taking vacation anyone but myself that it's not finished.
Well, man,
I did what takes this long.
I'm like the mafia.
Appreciate-
You can't quit. You can't quit me now. I'm like the mafia. You can't quit me. We bros now. It's real simple. Right.
No, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But yeah, I really appreciate the privilege of being able to share with people. I love talking about relationships and helping people have a clearer view of how to do relationships well, because we don't learn how to do relationships, and we do relationships from the cradle to the grave. But oftentimes we do them very badly, and we don't. So my goal is to educate people, because you cannot have a thriving life with sucky relationships. It will not happen.
Wow.
It won't happen. And so that's my passion. That's my goal, to help people thrive.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for tuning in again. This has really been a blessing. I'm going to actually post the show on my page so that you all can take a look at it in its entirety. Send this show to everybody you know. We all need this. It's relationship information. It's marriage information. And next week we're going to delve into sexual addiction, folks. Yep, we're going to take the deep dive. We have another great therapist coming on, and we're going to really be able to chop it up and really get some real solid information and figure out whether or not we got some real issues that we really don't want to talk about. So y'all know how I do. We go after it. Again, we'll see you next week. And if nobody told you this week or today, I love you if nobody else does, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Until next week, see you then.